Hello everyone, Clicked here. I hope everybody is doing great today. Today I want to talk about the Apple Watch Ultra. I've had it for a little bit since it first came out, and I've been using it off and on, and I think I got a few thoughts on it. This is not a review. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things I've noticed in comparison to like a regular Apple Watch here. First thing, let's talk about this design. I think the design is cool. I like it. I like it. As cool as I guess an Apple Watch can be. If you compare it to the previous Apple Watch, this is definitely a little bit more minimal, I guess, and this is just a little bit more chunky. Let's see what some of the things I've noticed about it is. Right here is like the flat glass as opposed to the curved glass. I do like that a lot. Compared to the curved version. I do like the way the flat one looks. But one of the things I noticed is scrolling is a little different here because you actually have an edge there. Sometimes I miss it compared to the round edge where I've always gotten that edge, no problem there. So one thing I did notice is scrolling sometimes this direction, I just miss it. Same thing with the top and bottom, but it seems like the top and bottom is less so, I guess. I've never had too many problems with that. Another thing I noticed is this kind of edge right here is kind of flat, makes that flat sapphire glass here, makes it flat and protects that edge. It's actually a little sharp. If you kind of catch it, it's pretty sharp. There's not any kind of chamfer or bevel or anything on it. It is literally just a piece of metal sticking right there, and it is a little sharp, and I notice it every once in a while. The other thing there is pretty cool, I think, is these cool little antenna bands in there. I really like how they did that. I like how they put those antenna bands up inside there. Definitely something pretty cool. Something I noticed. Another little thing here is different is this big gigantic scroll wheel here. You got this like protector around here, and you got these two buttons on this side. So you got the side button, your scroll wheel, and then the action button. One thing I noticed is they all click differently, so they all feel a little differently when you're clicking them. Like that's one way. This is nice and clicky. Probably hear it. And then the action button is a little squishy for some reason. I'm not real sure. So they have different feels. All three of them have a little bit of a different feel. As far as the scroll wheel goes, one thing I've noticed is it gets, like, at least mine does, and I'd really like to hear if anybody else is having the same problem, but it gives it a nice smooth scroll sometimes, and then sometimes it's kind of like almost sticky. I can't quite figure out why. One thing you need to do is you got to be right on top of that scroll wheel to give you a nice scroll. If you come at it from an angle like that, it's actually really not a good scroll at all. You have to come up at the top. Series 7, Series 8, no problem from the side. And that one seems to spin a lot more freely. This one is a little bit different, and sometimes it's really squishy. When I'm scrolling this here, it gets a little bit tough. So I've figured out that if you got to go right over the top of it, it gives you the best scroll. I kind of don't like that, actually. This button here is significantly better than the side button on the previous Apple Watches. This is easy to click, much easier than that one. I really like how they did this one. It's nice and easy to click. One thing that this crown guard, I was really hopeful that it was going to solve one of my problems, and that's the accidental pushing the button of Siri right here, but that pops out just enough. If you notice here, it does not. It is just as bad as this one. Even when I go and took this to play golf, my golf glove, which is not that stiff, was pushing this in all the time while I was playing golf, and I kept getting Siri when I was trying to track my golf, which is a bummer. Also, a lot of times during weightlifting, I'll accidentally hit it, and then a lot of times wearing any kind of lifting strap or anything, pushing it. So if you thought this was going to protect that somehow, it doesn't for me at all. You still get the accidental touches, which kind of defeats the purpose, I guess, of what I was hoping this little cool thing would do. It looks good. I like it. I like the way it looks, but not as useful as I was hoping. The third button, which I'm pretty happy to have, is this button right here, which is the action button. It's pretty limited right now. It could only open a couple things. I have mine to open a workout, which is great. And one of the things I really, really enjoy now is the ability to change the settings and be able to use the action button to start a workout. One of the big, like any kind of GPS workout, so like when I'm doing an outdoor workout, it doesn't start right away, and you can wait patiently for the GPS to kick in, which is fantastic, because this sometimes would kick in really fast, and sometimes you could be an eighth of a mile down the road before it kicks in, which is kind of a bummer. So now that you can do that, so that is super cool. One thing I've noticed, and then you can just click this button, and then you are good to go to start your workout. That's cool. One of the other bad, weird things that I've noticed is the pushing of the buttons. So if I want to push this button, let's say it's on my wrist, you kind of grab here and you press, and what happens is you press that, you'll press the action button at the same time. Of course, it's not going to do it here. Hold on, I'm going to look at it. When you push these two together, you can press, and as you can see, you end up hitting the action button at the same time. The same thing over here is you push the side button, and you'll get that darn action button in there all the time. And I've still not gotten used to somewhere to put my thumb so I can push these buttons without pushing that side button. Now, it seems weird to me because, watches like the Garmin, they have buttons on both sides, but they're smaller. And by the way, that crown guard actually works by keeping me from pushing that button accidentally all the time. But there is smaller, and you can feel the button. So as you're going to push that one, you're next to it, so you don't push it per se. You have to literally, want to push them both at the same time. So I'm not sure why that works just fine on these buttons, and it doesn't work on these particular buttons. But I don't think it was necessary to make the button that big, but this is an Apple design. They don't like their watches to look like regular watches. So one more button would have been great too. Okay, another cool thing about the design, and it really doesn't matter because you never see it, but the back of this thing is awesome. I don't know what it is with this back, the ceramic back, but it is one of the coolest looking backs of any watch I've ever seen. Especially with these lugs back here, it is really cool. Unfortunately, you don't ever see this when you have it on, but just looking at it here, super cool how they did that. I really like the back of this this watch here. The quick thing I noticed on the straps or the watch bands here, people were, I don't know why they were all worried about their watch bands not working, but as you can see, this is just a basic 45 millimeter watch band, and it works perfectly fine. I've swapped them out. Didn't have any issues at all. The other thing I noticed is they're pretty easy to take off, even on this one over here, but this one's even easier to take off than the Series 7 or 8s or whatever, because I think what it is because there's a bigger gap here between the button and the side piece here, or the button and the side of the watch. So I don't know, it seems like it's easier to push that in and then slide that out compared to here, which that button is a lot closer to the edge, and sometimes I think when I'm putting it in there, my fat finger grabs onto the thing. I don't know, it's just a lot easier, I've noticed, that to take those straps off. That's cool. So the other thing with the straps that I was one concern that I had, because of this titanium color obviously is nothing like the stainless steel. I was worried my bands that have the stainless steel clasps here, or the connector, like this one, was going to look funny in here. But if that was completely false, as you can tell, it does stick out a little bit, but it looks good. I don't have any issue with the way it looks, so I was pretty excited about that, because I have quite a few bands for this this type of watch, and a lot of them are the stainless steel bands. So I was pretty happy to see that still looks good. So if you're wondering about that, should not be a problem. One thing I do have some thoughts on is the price, the $7.99 price. I personally think that is an excellent price for this watch. For all you get on this watch, this one right here, the stainless steel Series 7 that I bought was $749, and that is literally half the watch that one is. This titanium and sapphire Garmin Epix 2 was close to $1,000, and that whole thing's not titanium. It's still mostly plastic, great plastic. So $1,000 for that. So I think the price of this is thumbs up. I was pretty surprised to see that. So performance wise, I haven't noticed anything different from my Series 7. It runs exactly the same, which is great. I've never Apple, ever since probably Series 4, they've been super smooth. They have ran really well. I've not had any issues with this. I do use a lot more apps on my Apple Watch than I do on, say, like my Galaxy Watch Pros, and definitely, obviously, any kind of Garmin app. It works great. Performance is really, really good. Other than that, guys, it's pretty much an Apple Watch. It runs exactly like an Apple Watch. It feels very familiar when I use it. The battery life, like I said, is great. I don't even think anything of it. I just charge it once a day when I'm in the shower getting ready, and I've just done that the entire time and haven't had any issues. I've taken it golfing, done a lot of working out, that kind of stuff. The fast charge on here works fantastic, and so it's super nice to not even think about the battery for the first time on an Apple Watch. But it's really good. If you have any questions, or if you have one of these guys, I would really like to hear what your thoughts on it. I'm still up in the air whether I want to keep it as a personal watch or if I'm just going to use it to do reviews. I do have some cool cases coming for this watch that I'm hoping will solve this accidentally pushing the button problem, because I do like cases on my other watches. So we'll see how that works out. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate you staying to the end, and I will see you on the next one, guys.